How are we doing today, Miami Dolphins fans? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network, and the week that a lot of us Miami Dolphins fans have been waiting for it feels kind of like eternity. These last 4 weeks, 5 with the bye, basically the time without Tua Tagovailoa it's aged us. I don't I don't feel near as young and springy as I did back in even week 2 when Tua started that game, and there was still a lot of hope. Going 1-3 over that stretch of games was obviously not worst case scenario. We could have went 0-4, but man, 2-2 would have been a lot better feeling than going 1-3. But here we are. Our hopefully savior is back. I don't know if I want to put all of that on Tua with how prone he has been to injuries, not just concussions, but kind of everything throughout his NFL career. But you know what? I don't even want to go down that road right now. Quarterback one is back. Hopefully that means this Dolphins offense is back, because we are currently dead last in the NFL in points per game offensively, which is terrible. Dolphins fans, we're going to jump into all of that here in a second. We got a lot to get to today, but before we jump in, for this week's final preview and prediction video, I'll be answering some viewer questions in that video. So any thoughts that you've got for this week, any questions that you would like me to add into that video, you know what to do. Go ahead and drop them in the comments. Get subscribed if you haven't done so already. But yes, we're going to talk a lot about this Dolphins offense. We're going to talk a lot about Tua today because he has been designated to return from IR. He is expected to start on Sunday, week 8 against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, he did practice on Wednesday. He is still technically in concussion protocol. I believe he can be officially removed if he's symptom-free following Friday's practice. So considering the fact that he has been symptom-free essentially since the day after he suffered the concussion, I know a lot of us are thinking, you know what? Probably put on concussion protocol or put on IR more so for optics than anything else. But, you know, with Tua, we're playing it safe. He is kind of the poster child for concussions in the NFL. But yes, with all of that being said, in line to start on Sunday for the first time since week 2, and Lord knows we are ready for it. Now, the big question that's kind of got brought up today because of a move that we made, who's the backup going to be? Mike McDaniel basically said, you know what, Tyler Huntley doesn't look like he's going to be ready to go, even in a backup capacity on Sunday. Skylar Thompson still a little bit hindered by that rib injury that he suffered against the Seahawks as well. So Tim Boyle remains an option, and not an option that any of us would like to dive into. But the team also did sign C.J. Beathard to the practice squad on Wednesday. So there is officially a litter of quarterbacks behind Tua right now. So we'll have to see how the week of practice goes, see how the injury stuff clears up throughout the week to see who will be the backup quarterback behind Tua on Sunday. Now, I am going to take a very quick dive into Wednesday's injury report, especially for the Miami Dolphins. Before we get into today, a couple of cornerbacks, Kader Kohou missed practice with a neck injury. Storm Duck missed practice with an ankle injury. Now, I'm going to be curious to see when, if Cam Smith ends up getting brought back into action. He recently got to talk to the media as well. Said the stint on IR was a good thing. Gave him that extra time to get healed, to get ready. He says he is ready to jump in and contribute if he's called upon already on Sunday. We will wait to see how that goes about. Issues remain at the offensive guard position. Liam Eichenberg has injuries to both shoulders. We know that we need this offensive line, who's actually been blocking decent the last couple of weeks, especially in the run game. We need all these guys healthy. And then both Javon Holland, Emmanuel Ogbah were limited after missing time last week. We'll have to see how all that breaks out for a couple of those guys there for the Dolphins. Now, I don't have a Cardinals injury report from Wednesday, but big news came from them after their game on Monday night. Linebacker Dennis Gardeck did suffer a season-ending ACL tear in that game on Monday night against the Chargers. Now, that is a big loss. He is the team's leader with 3 sacks this season. He also, I think, led the team in tackles for loss. He has a forced fumble. He's got an interception as well. So that is a big loss for this Cardinals defense. I typically start with talking about the opposing team's offense and our defense first. I am going to change it up because, like I said, I'm just in love with the idea of finally getting our quarterback back, hopefully having something that resembles an actual NFL offense. So I'm going to start by saying, talk about a dream scenario for Tua Tagovailoa to return back to. First time since week 2. Will there be some nerves that act up in a first game back? Maybe. Will there be some rust in a first game back? Will there be some timing issues with the pass catchers? Maybe. But quite honestly, you really cannot ask for a better situation to return to than a home game against this version of the Arizona Cardinals. 27th in total defense, 26th in both run and pass defense. We're going to talk about the run game here in a second. Honestly, this offense should explode in this game. Even if nerves are a thing, even if rust is a thing, even if timing is a thing, we should explode. Maybe was a little bit of a hefty word, maybe. But geez, can we put up close to 30 points one time? Now, the Cardinals defense, they kept the Chargers out of the end zone on Monday night, had a bunch of field goals. Still in that game, Justin Herbert goes for 349 through the air. The week before that, Jordan Love for the Packers goes for 258 and 4 touchdowns. He absolutely murdered this Cardinals defense. He had his way with them. I watched that game. This is a perfect game. Being at home, not having to deal with any visiting crowd noise. This is the perfect opportunity for Tua to return to. Back in week 1, the only game Tua started and finished this season, he throws for 338 in that game. It wasn't pretty. I'll get that, but it wasn't pretty, and he threw for 338. Both Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle go over the century mark. Both eclipse 100 yards receiving. Now, like I said, I don't want to get too bold here. I don't want to predict both of them going over 100 yards again on Sunday, but man, having an offensive outburst, scoring 30 plus in a game would go a long way in easing the minds of some of these Dolphins fans. People in the fan base, people in the front office, this team in general, we need a win. It would look nice. It would be nice to look good doing it as well. Now, I talked about the Cardinals struggling against the run as well. In my opinion, that's just as much of a key with Tua returning, as I think we learned over the last 2 games that we can run the ball with numerous running backs, and that this offense needs to remain committed to the running game. The running game needs to remain a focal point, even with Tua back, because how do we limit the number of times that Tua is dropping back and that he's facing pressure? You run the ball. How do you keep the defense honest, create more opportunities for that passing game? You run the ball. Raheem Mostert, Achane, Jaylen Wright, they're all relatively healthy, all at the same time. Use them all. And yeah, I do think we can get back to a little bit more of our pre-snap motion, a little bit more of our eye candy, the things that Mike McDaniel loves to do. That's a staple of this offense. But please, and I say that with Tua being back under center, but please stick to some of the run calls that we saw the Dolphins have success with over the last 2 games. Simply turn around and hand the ball to one of those 3 guys where Alec Ingold is leading the way. No, don't do a fullback dive. Don't turn and hand it to Alec Ingold. We saw what happens when that happens. Let him be a lane blocker. Let him do more traditional runs. Do that halfback toss play where the halfback isn't just getting the ball and going out wide. It's a quick pitch back. It's cutting up still in between the tackles. We saw that often against the Colts. We saw that run with success numerous times in the past, especially last week against the Colts. Now, we don't have to get super greedy and try to get everything done through the air just because Tua is back. Use what we learned from the run game these last 2 games to your advantage. Keep the offense as balanced and as possible, especially in these first couple of games when Tua returns. Like I said, now let's talk a little bit about that Arizona Cardinals offense and us on defense. I got to find my spot because I did it backwards this week. But in my opinion, the key to stopping the Cardinals offensively, limit their ability to run the ball. They are led by James Conner. He's currently 6th in the NFL in rushing yards. And there's Usher, no big surprise, one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL in Kyler Murray. So it's actually 2 weeks in a row where we're playing mobile quarterbacks. We had Anthony Richardson, obviously, last week. But I would classify these quarterbacks as dual threat running quarterbacks as being drastically different. Anthony Richardson is that quarterback that he's going to take off when things break down, and the team is going to design essentially power runs for him to get yards, for him to move the chains. Whereas Kyler Murray, he's going to have design runs, but they're more so outside design runs, part of their offensive rushing attack on top of what he can do as a runner once plays break down. And talk about when plays break down between these two, that's completely different as well. Anthony Richardson, he's looking to pick a hole and go. When pass plays break down for Kyler Murray, he is going to scamper all over the place. He's got these quick little choppy steps. If you've seen him, you know that he's going to do everything he possibly can to avoid defenders with those quick choppy steps. And it is super annoying when you think you have him dead to rights and he just scampers out of there. So keeping him bottled up, staying in front of him with those edge rushers and those rushing lanes, going to be a huge key defensively, so he doesn't add to yet an already strong Cardinals ground attack. Kyler Murray also only been sacked 11 times through 7 games this season. So his athleticism alone helps with escaping pressure, which means you're not just going to pin your ears back and just get sacks against this guy. He's way too quick. He's way too athletic for that. Stay disciplined in your rush lanes. Don't sell out for the sacks. Going to be key for these young edge rushers. We saw Emmanuel Ogbah being limited. We saw a lot of Chop Robinson. We saw a little bit of Mo Camara. We saw some Quentin Bell. Stay in your lanes. Don't sell out for the sacks. Now, through the air, Kyler Murray has been pretty safe this year. Just 3 interceptions through the team's 7 games. But they aren't really doing much damage through the passing game either. Just over 180 yards per game. Tight end Trey McBride leads them in both reception and yards, in my opinion. He's one of the better up-and-coming tight ends in the league. So I think Anthony Weaver, you're definitely going to have to keep some tabs on him. But the most intimidating receiving threat that this team has, rookie wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. We all know it. He does only have 300 yards on 20 catches so far this year. You know this guy is definitely capable of a blow-up game at any point. He was the cleanest wide receiver in this year's draft. You could probably even go back a couple of drafts and think that Marvin Harrison was the cleanest wide receiver prospect for quite some time. He did go for 130 and 2 touchdowns in a blowout victory over the Rams back in week 2. So he has not topped 65 yards in a single game since, but yeah, we know that he is very capable. So it's going to be very key to see if, does Jalen Ramsey end up getting that matchup? Does he end up getting to shadow a guy like Marvin Harrison? Because they're truly not all that deep at wide receiver outside of him. Michael Wilson makes some plays. Greg Dortch makes some plays here and there. They're not the guys that are going to scare you. It's Trey McBride. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. So I'm looking to see how Anthony Weaver and Jalen Ramsey get used this week in those matchups. Like I said, Dolphins fans, if you've got any thoughts, any questions that you'd like me to answer in this week's final preview and prediction video, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Like I said, get subscribed if you have not done so already. We will be back later this week. I got to figure out the timing of that last video. So if you have questions, like I said, we'll get some of those included in the video. Just drop them in as quick as you possibly can so I don't miss any of them. We will kill it today, right there for today, Miami Dolphins fans. But until next time, fins up.